Hello, friends. Hi. Welcome to another episode of Insights with me, Dean Shams. Right. Today's topic, you know, how did I come up with this topic? There's a backstory to it. So I was talking to a friend of mine who made a comment about introverts. So what happened was, he said he at a work meeting, one of his colleagues made a joke that came out all wrong, and people were like, "Oh, what are you trying to do?" Right? And my friend said, "Oh, he's an introvert, so he doesn't know how to be social." So I was like, wait, that's not true. No, that's really made me think about all the misconceptions that people have about introversion. And this misconception will definitely impact the way people, like maybe yourself, perceive and work with introverts. So you might have a lot of these preconceived ideas of how introverts are, and it's affecting your communication, which will then affect the way the introverts perceive you as a coworker, right? So I want to get this record straight. So I got four highly visible introverts. Notice this. They're introverts, but they're highly visible. And they're from three different countries, including Singapore, to have a discussion on this once and for all. And we are going to demystify and help you work out, help you work well with introverts, right? So before that, let's just be on the same page. We know that some people are introverts, some people are extroverts, but there is no such thing as you're either extrovert or introvert. It is actually a continuum. On one end is introverts, and on the other end is extrovert, and we are all standing somewhere along that line. And I like to believe that people who are the extreme ends, maybe it is not just the way they relate to others, it is also probably, if you're extremely introvert, there might be some issues that you need to deal with. And if you're extremely extrovert, also I think there's going to be some issues that you might want to look into. So let me bring in to the studio my guest. So first off, from Singapore we have Andrew Parker. Hey, Andrew.
Hi, Dean. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi. So Andrew is a management consultant and a coach with a focus on sales and marketing. Next, we have someone from Malaysia, Bhavani. Hello, Bhavani.
Hello, Dean.
Hi. So Bhavani is a gratitude advocate, speaker, and coach. He's just been doing this for a long time. Can you imagine gratitude advocate? What a beautiful name or
Thank you.
title, right? Okay. Next one, our very own master introvert. There's a reason why I call him master introvert. It's Mervin Yo from Singapore. Hi,
Hi, Dean.
Mervin.
Good
So
afternoon.
why I call him a master introvert is because he's the founder of Introvert Network Asia, a group that supports the development of its members the introvert way. And this association or group is in a few cities around Asia, right, Mervin?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So last but definitely not the least, Neha Sone from Hong Kong. Hi, Neha.
Hi, Dean. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi. So Neha is a public speaking coach. She helps introverts feel empowered to use their voice, inspire, and influence others. So you can imagine there are going to be four guest introverts, and I consider myself an introvert too. Okay. So let's get the topic going. All right. So people tend to think of introverts as a certain type, quiet, shy, socially awkward. Some of them say, oh, this person is antisocial, he's introvert, antisocial. But we all know that, like I said just now, introversion exists in a range. So, Mervin, I'll start with you. You are the founder of Introvert Network Asia. You've been doing this for the last 7 years, and you must have come across a lot of different types of introverts. So, can you share with me some of these archetypes, or maybe different types of introvert that you've interacted with, Mervin?
I Dean. I think I'll keep it simple. From my observation and relating with some of these people, I only see two kinds of
Oh,
introverts.
interesting.
Yeah, two. Yeah, to me. They're either the observers or the relators. So the
Okay.
relators are the one a bit more social, and the ones who are in business that they want to connect with people through networking. Whereas the
Right.
observers, you can hardly hear them. So these are the two kinds I think I've been observing the last 7 years or so.
And which type do you fall into?
Oh, I think I belong to the relator. I better
Ah,
belong to the relator.
you
Yeah,
have to, right?
yeah, I have to. So I've been networking for the last 2 decades, and so because of the role, the tasks that come and the responsibilities, I had to be in a position where I needed to lead others, get
Mm,
others to network, get others to take up leadership positions. So in a sense, I was thrown into the discomfort zone and really uh, adapted, myself so
mm,
that
mm,
I
mm.
can help others connect as well.
It must have been very hard as an introvert for you to kind of shift into becoming a relator.
Definitely, it was very tough. I might have
Mm,
shared with you before, I discovered my introversion very late, only when I started
mm,
working. And only when I took some of the tests, there's so many out there, right?
yep.
Then I discovered that, oh, okay, so I'm introvert and so I'm like this. But it's only in the last 6, 7 years because of INA, Introverts Network Asia, then I discovered, hey, there's a lot more to us within us, that,
Mm,
that I'm trying to draw out. And so some say I'm championing a cause. I don't know what that is, but in a sense, I'm asking other introverts, hey, come, there's a lot of, we can enjoy relating with people,
mm,
we
mm, mm,
just
mm.
put our mind to it. Yeah.
That's nice. Andrew, I remember you said that you came out as an introvert very late in life, I would say. What's your experience like?
Very similar to Mervin's, actually, Dean. So you're right. It wasn't until much later in my career that I actually embraced my introversion. So I actually always thought there was something wrong with me, particularly early in my career, because I was working in the areas of sales, marketing, and strategy. And I was working with a lot of extroverts. And I thought, oh, there's something actually wrong with me. And so I'd never actually recognized it properly. And I never knew what I needed to do to look after myself in the right way until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Nice. Okay, so at this point in time, what kind of introvert are you based on Mervin's category?
Yeah, I like to think I'm the same sort of category of introvert as Mervin. I actually, a little bit like you, Dean, I think about introversion as a continuum and a bit of a sliding scale, so you can move up and down. So whilst I'm an introvert, I can be extroverted, but it's for me where I get my energy from. So I need to retreat back to introversion
Absolutely.
in order to refuel myself and recharge my batteries. I can't stay in the extroversion zone for days or weeks on end. I can do it for a number of hours, but I need to then retreat back to a place where I can rebuild and regain my energy.
I think you mentioned a very, very, very important point that people need to understand uh, that what's common among all introverts and why we call ourselves introverts is because we kind of regenerate our energy by being alone, by being quiet, right? Right.
That's right.
Okay. You have something to say?
No, I was just going to say that for me is a really simple definition of introversion. For anyone who's wondering whether they're an introvert, extrovert, or an ambivert, for me, the simple definition of introversion is just where you get your energy from. Extroverts typically get it from other people, being in social situations. Introverts like myself get it from being alone and having quiet time.
Absolutely. And there are many other indicators to whether you are introvert or not, but we'll talk about it along the way. Bhavani, which type are you?
Um, it's kind of tough to say, but I think I am more of a relator.
Mm-hmm.
If we follow what Mervin said,
Yep.
but the thing is, not many people will actually believe when I say I'm an introvert because
Mm,
the job scope requires me to be with people most of the time. And this was something
mm,
that I was also like, there was a confusion, like which identity is it that relates to me, because I'm a person where people matter to me. So, in family events and all, I'll be the one who knows all the elderly people, the aunties, uncles. I know
mm.
everyone, and um, I'm so like a social butterfly in events. But then again, I will be one who can't wait for the whole thing to finish so that I can get back home, and I need to spend like
Ah,
my me time. Maybe it's just family, close family at home, but I need to get away from those events. So that was a confusion that I had for a while. Like if it's familiar people, I'm all okay. But you know what? If it's a group of strange people, I won't be a social butterfly.
Mm,
This is very difficult for me. So
mm,
I think it's depending on my comfort zone. And my work requires me to be with people most of the time. I do residential program for students and all. That's like six,
mm,
7 weeks with them. So my students are like, Miss Bhavani, are you sure you're an introvert? You're with us all the time? I say, yeah, but you don't see the times where I run back and lock myself in the room to get away from you guys.
absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the part that you don't see, where I find a replacement and say, you know what, you are in charge right now. I need to get back to my room and just take that few hours off. So that's when I started realizing, okay, I am sort of like situational. The job
Mm,
requires me to be up there, and I'm a speaker. And I think this is
yeah.
a misconception, Dean, if I can just address this. A lot of people always say that, oh, I'm an introvert, I cannot speak. Not being able to speak, I think, does not define extrovert or introvert. That's
Mm,
more of your self confidence or your ability to speak. Being
mm,
shy, not so a bit reserved, that is different. But
mm,
ability to speak is something totally different, which maybe Mervyn can later on share his thoughts on this. But
mm.
I have a lot of students who come and tell me, Miss, I'm introvert, I cannot speak.
Yeah.
So I need to
We
correct
know
that.
because we are all in the speaking and coaching industry, all five of us, and we know that speaking is a skill. It is not a personality.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, correct.
Okay.
So this is a something that at least I see in most of my students in,
Mm,
at least in Malaysia, misconception of
mm,
not being able to speak. I'm an introvert, but no, they draw energy from crowds and all that. So that's something
mm.
that I thought I just wanted to bring up.
Absolutely. And now, coming to you, are you an observer or relator?
I would say I'm a relator. Although I don't know too much about these types, but from just the word, I would say I'm more of a relator. I'm not
Yeah,
a
that's why
person,
you're doing what you're doing, right?
I
You're a
guess.
coach, and I remember you were saying that you're also a yoga instructor.
Yes, I've learned. I do not teach it commercially
Mhm.
because I understand the group dynamics. Like, big groups
Mm,
is not for me. It's a very personal practice. And just
mm,
like Andrew and Bhavani, I have found that as much as I like my social interactions and doing workshops or even going dancing, social dancing, I have to come back and it takes me 2 hours to unwind and fall asleep actually.
mm. Yeah.
So
Seems like the lockdown must have been quite good for all of us, yeah?
yes, in this case,
Well, in a way that we can, like, stay away from people. All right. So, what other ways do you think, I'm throwing it out to any one of you, are introverts a bit different from extroverts?
mm,
So now we know we all kind of take time out to recharge. We need that alone time. So, what other things do you think is different?
I think listening
Okay.
is, yeah, introverts are better listeners because they do actually tend to spend, I feel, if they're
Mm-hmm.
spending a lot of time with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
they're busy in their mind and they're thinking a lot. So because of this thoughtfulness that they have and they take time to listen and analyze, I think they have the ability to do this for others slightly better than extroverts. I'm not saying extroverts can't do this, but maybe
Mm.
be slightly better off in this because we do take time to be
So
with.
I agree with you. Yeah. Uh, Avani, what do you think are some other things? Because you do coach people, students, right? And you must have seen a lot of introverts among them, and that might be putting them at a disadvantage because they kind of convince themselves that they can't do it, like what you said just now, just because they're introvert. So, what other things do you think makes an introvert?
I think besides what Neha said on listening, I think it's also focus.
Mm,
The introvert ones, again, I'm making a very general statement. They
mm,
tend to be able to focus better
mm,
as compared to the introverts, sorry, the extroverts, where they can get distracted with other things and go all over, and you need to just bring them back to that matter that we
mm,
are
mm, mm,
speaking about or focusing about. That's one observation I have, when it becomes to answer a question, they may go everywhere before they answer, or they may never answer. But the introverts, I sense they tend to be a bit more, maybe because it's the power of listening. They really listen, so they're
Mm.
more focused and not distracted all over the place.
So I just don't want this conversation to be about introverts versus extroverts. So I will just say introverts listen differently from extroverts.
And I think deeper concentration, maybe, if that's the
Deeper
word.
concentration, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Andrew, do you have anything to add to this list?
It's funny you say that, Dean, because a little bit like Bhavani and Nehar actually described these as some introvert superpowers. And so, yes, introverts do think and manage in different ways. There's no right or wrong. Just like it's being an introvert's not right or wrong, being an extrovert's not right or wrong as well. But introverts do have a unique set of skills, and I think Bhavani and Nehar have picked up on those. So the ability to listen in a different way, to form quite deep one-on-one relationships is certainly a skill that introverts have. And introverts are really detail-oriented as well, and they tend to stick at tasks a lot longer because we're typically very prudent in our decision-making, perhaps even risk-averse.
Oh, I so agree with you. Yeah. Does that mean also that we tend to overthink things?
Quite possibly, Dean, yes.
Yes.
Certainly on a personal level, from a business level, that may actually be a good skill or a strong attribute.
Absolutely. Okay. I have another thought that I would like to kind of run with all of you is that based on your own experience at work, even in your daily business dealings, what are some of the introvert habits of at work, right? Because we know we have different habits at work as an introvert and at in your personal space. So, what are some of the introverted habits that you wished others understood better at work? Let's start with Mervin because you meet so many people.
I'm trying to recall. You mentioned business dealings, and then I remember I didn't work for employers too long, maybe about 10 years or so.
Okay.
And then I remember one of the longest I worked for an organization was about 4.5 years. I was working in a communications department, and I had to relate with people and speak to people and make presentations and all that. But I'm not talking about communication. I'm talking about them giving me the time when I want to think through things, And I remember them asking, there's not a large team, when they're about to go for lunch. And they say, oh, Mervin, would you like to join us for lunch? And I say, no, you go ahead. He said, can we get something for you? And so being the nice person that I am, I say, oh, just get me chicken rice, And so can you imagine, I have about 2-3 times chicken rice for lunch during the week. And it's only those who are closer to me understood that I prefer to be by myself. I may not be doing work while they are out there, but I wanted to avoid the crowd. That's one. And two, and as Andrew mentioned this, I just wanted, and also Bhavani mentioned about my me time. I just, we've been having meetings all day, all morning, and then here comes my precious 45 minutes or so. Hey, I got to spend time for myself. Please buy me back the lunch, and I'll just gobble it down in 3-5 minutes, but I need to be by myself. So I think it'd be nice if the co-workers understood that it didn't mean that I didn't like them. It didn't mean that I didn't want to socialize, but that was that precious 45 minutes for me. The rest of the day, I'd be happy to work with you, but just give me that 45 minutes and we can have very productive interaction later on.
And it seems like we are forced to socialize, right? When we cannot, not that we don't want to, but we cannot. We need that time. And it's also that when people like what you said, when you say, "Oh no, I'm not going to join you," people take it the wrong way and think that you're being arrogant or being antisocial, right? Yeah. So friends, you need to know this, okay? Introverts are not being antisocial. They just need their me time. Neha, let's go to you. Sorry. What's your experience like? Have you been misunderstood?
Just like Mervin, yes, a little bit, and just like Mervin, I never joined people to, to go for lunch. And this is when I was working as a researcher, and we had a team of people, I didn't join them for lunch most of the time, unless it was like a special Chinese New Year lunch thingy or a Christmas lunch.
It's like an
I would,
event, right? Then you join.
yeah, exactly. At the same time, like more recently, I started doing socials for singles, and I found that I'm hosting them, and I'm absolutely fine with having lots of people around me.
Mm.
Of course, whatever happens later on, and I'm spending time by myself, and that's okay. But I'm really interacting with them one on one, trying to get to know them. So of course,
Mm.
and the expectations that other people have, I learn about the expectations other people have when they
Mm.
are in such situations, and I understand. Okay, this person must be an extrovert because he expects lots and lots of people at an event,
Mm.
especially a singles event, because they want to interact with loads of people. But I'm different in that, okay, even if there's like 15, 20 people, I'll interact with one or two. I'll say hello to everyone because I'm the host. But I'll interact with a couple and get to know them better and stay in touch with them.
That
Yeah.
reminds me, like even when I introvert, when I network and I know this of other introverts too, I just aim to meet 5 people. I'm happy, and then I just make a deeper connection with them. So, moving on. Okay. So, what are some of the challenges that you face at work because you think it's because of your introverted nature? And then when I say work, it doesn't have to be like in an office setting where you're an employee. It could also be in your business dealings, interacting with your stakeholders, clients, whatnot. Andrew, do you have any of these?
That's funny, Dean. I'm still thinking about lunch. I thought I was the only one that used to avoid lunches at work. But I'm pleased to know there are others out there who did that as well. Or I just wanted to sit quietly and read the newspaper or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah, me too.
Okay. No, there's a few things, Dean, that it really spring to mind about the actual work itself. And I guess first and foremost is that, and this goes to anybody that's listening and watching as well, particularly those people managing introverts, is just because people are not actively speaking or they may seem
Mm.
quiet, doesn't mean they're not interested or
Mm.
that they're, in fact, not even listening. They
Mm.
are. They just need time to process and time to think. And so that's
Mm.
something that I've found quite difficult in my career, especially in really large group environments or group meeting environments, that it's
Mm.
important to let people know that I am listening. I am really interested in what you're saying. I just need time to think and time to process. And
Mm.
then in my most recent corporate role, I was doing a lot of international travel. And so I was jet lagged out of my mind half the week. But then I'd have to go and work a 10 or 12-hour day. And then at the end of the day, people would invite you out to dinner because you're in a
Because you're a
different country,
guest.
like
Yeah.
Russia or Austria. They thought that was the right thing. I was their guest. I just wanted to go back to the hotel and relax and recharge. And I learnt after a long time how to say no properly and in the right way to let people know that, look, I thank you for the invitation. I will join you for dinner this week, but at the moment I'm really tired and I just need to recharge.
Mm. Seems like one key skill that introverts need to learn is how to say no in a really diplomatic and polite way, right? And for the rest of the non-introverts, when an introvert says no, they are not rejecting you. They are actually asking
Correct.
for alone time, right? That's
Yes.
nice. Okay. So, Bhavani, what's your story?
Um, the food, the after work, that celebration, that dinner, and then partying after that. It's like I'm okay with dinner. I need my food, yes, but let's keep it within the dinner to keep going on and on and on. And I'm like, I need to go back. I
Mm.
just need my time. So just let me go. But people have that sense of obligation because I want to take you out. I want to show you the town or
Mm.
whichever it is I'm hosting you. But again, I'm not saying that I'm not open to it because if I'm hosting, I will do all of these things as well.
Mm.
I will do my job as a host, take them out for a dinner, taking them sightseeing after that. But if someone were to tell me, you know what, I think I'll just go back to hotel, I'm like, that's totally fine with me. Not going to insist, and I'll just say, if it's okay with you, we'll work out some other time. Now, the other thing that is also sometimes a little challenge for me is when I get invitation for um, get-togethers and all this. Let's take sports for an example. I rather jog by myself. I rather
Mm.
just do things by myself. And I have friends saying, no, let's go and do it in a group. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong, but I just rather just run and come back by myself, whether it's hiking and all these things. So it's not being antisocial. I rather just do it myself at my
Mm.
own pace, at my own planning, and do it the way that I want. So that also happens to a lot of other activities like shopping and all this. So I'm the type of person, I need A, I go, I buy A, and I come back. I can't spend a few hours in a shopping mall, and often not. I used to take my mom and sister, and I'll always find excuse and say, you know what, you guys go and do what you need to do. You'll find me in the bookshop. Come and find me once you're done. Um,
Are the rest of us saying yes to all these things? Like yes, 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 this describes me. Yes.
yeah.
So
So and I have friends who are like, you're a girl, you don't like shopping. I did not say I do not like shopping, but I do it on my own. I prefer not to go with a big group where now I am part of a team and then they say that you are not being friendly, or you're not understanding. So I rather just go buy. If I happen to see another thing, yes, I'll go and check it out. But you see, I dictate my own time. I do it at my own pace. So it's all it's within my control how I do it. And if I feel tired at any one point, I can just say, you know what, that's enough. It's enough for the day. I'm going to go back now. Or
mm,
I'm just going to go to a cafe and sit down for an hour first. Or you know what, I decided I'm just going to go to the bookshop. So it's again my me time. Yes, I'm outside, but it's my me time.
yeah,
I'm
there's
not.
space, right? There's space
Yeah,
for
yeah. So
being.
it's this small little things that sometimes I wish people understood. Like, oh, you went to buy these, why didn't you tell me? We could have all gone together. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's precisely why I went by myself. I
Yes,
didn't want to go with
nice.
everyone.
So Mervin and Neha, anything to add to that list? Because I think we all agree
I
to all that
yes,
Andrew and Bhavani has said.
um, Dean, I wanted to take the perspective from the extroverts or the less introverted, because I don't want introverts to become self-centered or self-entitled, and some of them can even become demanding and say, hey, respect me, So I wanted to say that just to make a suggestion,
Mm,
like for example, during meetings, and I run a lot of meetings. When you are a participant, you're not the one hosting or facilitating a meeting, do the nodding like as some of you are doing,
mm,
For example, you see, because we are processing, right? And if we don't make eye contact or at least gesticulate or show some indications to the
mm,
leader that you're listening, then they will assume you're not listening. So even if you are processing, sure, you just look there and you're not, hopefully it's true that you're not deceiving him, but you're not occasionally, then they know that, hey, you are with us, you're not zoning out. So I thought it'd be fair to the less introverted that
mm.
maybe we give them a chance, we just say, hey, okay, yeah, I'm listening, I'm looking at you, so maybe we should try that, as introverts.
You made such a very powerful point. Being an introvert does not give you the right to not practice social graces because it is still expected, right? So, friends, if you know of introvert, introvert friends, introvert coworkers who are not socially graceful, that is nothing to do with the introversion. That's got to do with the social skills, right? Okay, so let's move on to something um, more serious, so to say. Let's talk about the concept of leadership. Okay, so the common perception of leadership is well, like very extroverted, stand on stage and can bring up the energy of all his audience, outgoing, outspoken, assertive, strong. But I have done a lot of reflecting and reading, and I realized this model of very extroverted leadership actually is perpetuated in the West. But when you read about the Eastern leaders, they are usually very quiet, and then they will say something and it's very wise, and then it will be rehashed for decades or centuries or whatever. Like we know so many of them, right? So what needs to be corrected about these this common extroverted concept of perception of leadership. Andrew, since you came from the West, so you are an Australian, you've been here for 8 years, you can best kind of see the difference. Uh, Tell us about the difference. Do you feel more accepted as an introvert here? You feel more in tune?
I think the short answer to that question is yes, I do, Dean. I feel far more comfortable here with my quiet nature and my ability to lead quietly. There is a real misconception, though, that introverts cannot be leaders. And so you spoke about East and West, Dean. So even people such as Gandhi, Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Rosa Parks, Mother Teresa, they're all introverts and they're all fantastic leaders. And so they're both from East and West. I think leadership and leaders come in all different shapes and sizes, and introverts can still be great leaders because they just leverage the skills that they have, but just in a different way. And I think you touched on it really well, Dean, that ability to leverage the quiet nature. Because if you are a quiet leader, then when people do listen to you or when you do speak, you can actually leverage that really, really well, because they think, oh, Andrew or Bhavani have got something really important to say. They haven't said something for 20 minutes. They're clearly thinking, and that actually carries a lot more weight or a lot more gravitas. So whether you're from the East or the West, you can still leverage your quiet nature in a way that people will listen because they understand that you might be introverted and you have really been thinking, listening, and reflecting.
Marvin, what's your take on this? Because you are seen as the leader of the introverts in this part of the world, right? Just because you're the founder of INA, right?
Yeah, so of course, mine is more the quiet leadership, and it's true because I was working with the Westerners, mostly Americans for about 13 years, and so that's where I saw, as you said, the extroverted style of leadership, really flamboyant, really loud, it's like I got to say something, so I saw all that, and but I remember telling the founder of that organization, in the first 6 months, I was the national director for Singapore, and I remember telling him, say, Singapore is different, and then so you can you imagine I was going against, I was like anti her. Everyone is saying, oh, you got to lead this way, and I started leading people a slightly different way. And it's only when I found mentors from other countries like Canada and Australia and India, that's when I saw that, hey, I got these quiet leaders showing me that, hey, my style is perfectly okay. I can get things done, so definitely, and just now Andrew mentioned about the spectrum, there's no right and wrong. And so there's no right or wrong leadership. It's really the style of how to get things done, so yeah, that's it for quiet leadership.
So it seems like people need to understand that being quiet in that sense doesn't mean you don't have leadership skills. You are just leading in a different way, in a different style, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about this. The new normal. So now everything is done remotely, and it seems like since introverts like to be alone, it should be better, right? So, but it also means that introverts can be misunderstood because of their quieter nature and because of the low touch environment. The misunderstanding can be even greater, right? So, what should introverts do to have their own presence on this, like now, right? And reduce the potential of all this misinterpretation by their colleagues. Let's start with Andrew. What do you think?
There's a few things I'd suggest here, Dean. First of all, learn to look after yourself really simply and be good to yourself. And it sounds so simple, but particularly as we're all operating, or most of us are operating in a virtual world or an increasingly virtual world, find out what works for you. So some really simple suggestions, for example, is don't schedule meetings or calls back to back. Put some time in there to mentally recharge. Ask people if you've been on video calls or Zoom calls all day. Look, I'm exhausted from looking at the screen all day. Can we just turn off the camera? I know with some Zoom calls, if I'm listening but I don't need to actively present or I have my video shown, I'll walk around the room because I find it more comfortable to pace and think at the same time. So find out what works for you. And if you're leading virtual meetings, try and put big groups into much smaller groups through breakout rooms, etc., because you'll find that you're able to draw ideas from your introverted colleagues and friends in much smaller groups in a much easier way.
Neha, do you have any suggestions?
Especially attending sessions like these and lots of Zooms more recently. For an introvert, it can be tiring. And sometimes those are training sessions for coaches, which I have to attend. And then what I notice is that there is two like special coaches from the IFC, and they're going on talking, and there is a question that they throw onto the screen, which we need to read, and they have a poll, so we answer, and then the answer goes into the poll, and then they have a percentage. So the trouble I have with that is not being able to answer their question because I'm listening. I don't want to miss out on what they're talking about. So then I can't read what's on the screen and listen to them at the same time. That's where I struggle. And if this part can, I mean, it's probably designed for everyone, and I fall into so the more introvert, especially not being able to process and like read at the same time. So something, if this can be considered when someone is organizing a program. Another thing is having music in the background. I was requested to have music because sometimes if you drop out, if they're listening to the music, then they come to know that, okay, it's working fine. But then it can be distracting for other people. And I know how that feels like. So I had music on for a meditation session. But then someone said, can you please turn it down because I can't listen to this and it's distracting. The music is distracting me. So then I turned down the music. But most others don't necessarily do that because they have the music the whole time. And that can be distracting. And thank you for not turning on the music.
Bhavani, what do you think?
I think it's individual, and like what Andrew said, I tend to do that. I'll just say, is it okay if I just not on my video right now, but I'm here, I'm answering your questions, I'm doing everything, because I tend to walk if I can with my laptop. I literally carry my laptop around outside of the house to the kitchen. I walk around because movement keeps me not get into that whole screen fatigue by the end of the day. So that fresh breath of air, not stranded on the chair for hours. So I tend to do that, and I will just always ask the organizer, "Are you okay if I switch off my camera?" And of course, I don't do that when I am the one delivering the session. So I would have done enough of that before I go on screen, which is take my walks, have my water, do all of these things before I get on screen. So I think the key is to see what works for you best, because individually, all of us crave for different things for our me time or what settles us. So that's something important we need to do on an individual level to identify and do that rightly and manage that.
Seems like you're saying that if you need to do something like different from the rest of the meeting, just state your intention in the chat, right? Say that, okay,
Yeah.
I need to walk around, so I'm going to switch off. Yeah,
Yep.
that will make people understand what's going on your side. Thank you.
Yep.
Mervin, could you add to the list?
Yeah, sure. First, there's a difference between solitude and isolation. And because of the pandemic, so a lot of people were isolated. And I remember at the start, some people were crying foul for the extroverts and say, hey, the extroverts are not getting, are succumbing to the pandemic. So you introverts are really having your best time of the year. But then we discovered, at least for myself and the few I know, that this virtual thing going online was not what we were comfortable with for myself. And I took more than a month to adjust to it. I took more than a month to adjust to going online and then start getting things in order again and trying to interact with people, have meetings and discussion online. So Andrew gave some very good tips, and of course the ladies also talk about music and walking around. I don't walk around so much, but I remember I was online last week, and then I didn't realize when I watched my video again, I was moving all over the place, So I'm wondering, if there's a psychologist around, whether I've got a little bit of ADHD in me. So I was a bit restless, and I think Zoom, one is the screen, the other is having to be locked into your chair and interacting with people for an hour can be quite exhausting, even if it's
Mm,
a small group of 10 people online. So
absolutely.
yeah, I agree with Andrew that we have to take care of ourselves. If not, we cannot be at our best, productive, so
Mm,
that we can start uh, helping others. We can start
mm,
teaching or leading others. Yeah, so
mm.
that's a very good tip, Andrew.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, it's time to kind of wrap up the conversation. So I want to ask Andrew. Andrew, you're a management consultant. You've been doing this for so long. So I'm sure you will know some tips and tricks about how to manage tips and tricks for people who are managing introverts, be it in their team or in any capacity, so
Mm.
that these people can bring out the best in the whole team. Because sometimes we forget about the introverts because they're so quiet, and then the team is not really at its best. We need everyone to be at its best. So what do you say?
Indeed, and sometimes as introverts, managing other introverts, we may forget some of these rules or tips as well, Dean. There's probably a few golden rules that I'd recommend, and probably the first one is give your introverted colleagues time to think. So don't demand instant answers. So if you're going to ask them in a meeting for their opinion, give them time to think, or forewarn them that everybody's going to be asked for their opinion. And the best leaders I've seen give a warning and say, okay, we're just going to be quiet for 2 minutes, and I want everybody to note down their thoughts. That's a great
Mm,
way to get your introverted colleagues, or give them time to think and get them
mm,
involved. And once your introverted colleagues have actually started speaking, please don't interrupt them because they need to build momentum, and sometimes they need to think out loud as well. And then the final suggestion would be, I guess, like most people, Dean, never embarrass your introverted colleagues in
oh,
public. So always reprimand them privately and speak to them privately. It's a real no-no for managing
mm,
introverts. So there's a few tips and techniques that I'd suggest.
Does anyone else in the panel has anything to add?
Um, I just want to add on to what Andrew said. Don't box people into categories and say, oh yeah, he's like that or she's like that because
Mm,
she's an introvert or he's an introvert or an extrovert. Don't box people up, but rather understand that they are like that and be flexible with it. Understand that all of us are not the same. We all operate differently. Even within introverts, we all operate differently. We
yeah.
may have similarities, but there will be differences in all of us. I notice this a lot in even people who do a lot of all these psychometric assessment tools. At workplace,
Ah,
people automatically start boxing them into, oh, now I know why you are like that. It's because you are like this and that. So rather than labeling and boxing people into
mm,
categories, understand and be flexible and try to know why they are that way and be willing to be flexible. So I think sort of be empathetic to situations and people and go with the flow. And very rightly, like Andrew said, don't call them out and say, you are like this. No wonder. No matter who it is, I think let's empower rather than look at things like that. That's my thought.
yeah. So I get what you're saying is you're saying that labels can be convenient, but it can also be a very convenient way to put assumptions onto someone, just just in a very lazy way, right? Just because you're an introvert, I expect you to be like this and I expect you to be like that. And Bhavani, you're saying perfectly the right thing. Just because you know someone to be an introvert, it doesn't mean like they're quiet, they're not sociable. There's so many things. Some are not. So who knows, right? Anyone else to add to the list? Neha or Mervin? Mhm.
Talk about my mistakes,
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
So, run meetings. I don't know. I'm revealing all this. Relating people, and even though I've been doing
Share
so
my
for a long time,
experience with
Okay, wait. I think there's a
my
technical
Kenya.
issue with
yeah.
Neha.
Let,
I think she is experiencing lag. So let me mute her.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I think you're experiencing lag, Neha, and let Mervin speak first. Yeah. Okay, carry
Oh,
on.
because yeah, it's relating to what Andrew mentioned about not calling out names. So I made this mistake in saying, "Oh, do you have any ideas, any feedback?" So sometimes I got annoyed when I know this person has a lot of creative ideas. It's only after working with him for a few months then I realized that he sent me the information the next day. So if it's not urgent, you can wait another day. You will get 2 pages of email the next day for the answer solution you're looking for. So it's really good to have some patience. And I made another mistake by asking in the group, do you have anything to add? Do you have anything to say? And then I started calling out names. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm not practicing what I preach. And then this person told me after the meeting in a more casual setting, he said, Mervin, if I'm not saying anything, that means everything's okay.
Wow. Okay.
So I said, so we really have to be flexible, as leaders, we really need to be adaptable so that everyone is different. So that's a bit tricky. It takes a bit of nurturing, about a bit of learning, peer mentoring and stuff, so that we can adapt to the different styles, of people, working people in the team. Yeah.
But I think, Mervin, your point, the introvert on their own, they have to tell people, you know what, I need time. So this is where self-awareness comes in, right? You need to tell people if you are already aware of some of your quirks or whatnot.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
cannot
agree.
expect people to know this already. Okay,
Agree.
Neha, I
And
want to come to you. Sorry, Andrew?
sorry, Dean, and ask for it. It's okay to ask for time. One of the things that
Yeah, that's
when
true.
I'm coaching people, really simply say, look, can I think about that for a minute? Or my first thoughts are this. So give yourself that out and that opportunity to think.
Absolutely. Perfect. Neha, do you want to add something?
I had an experience of coaching someone for public speaking, and we agreed on coaching every week. And then we got into as we got deeper into the training, just like Bhavani was saying, be happy to adjust and to the circumstances. What I was hearing a lot was my client was she needed more time to process when we got into storytelling. So then instead of every week, like because for her it became like a deadline and not having the space to think and really bring out something. I mean, she may be doing it because she was doing it because she wanted to push a deadline, but it wasn't really bringing out the story out of her. So then I said, I'm gonna adjust this. We can move this to like, every 10 days. Do you think that works better for you? And then she was okay with that and she adjusted it. So that worked better for her.
So it's all about each party trying to understand one another or each other, right?
Yeah.
This is, I want to just pick on what Hui Fang has said. It is okay to ask for time, saying, can I think about it? I also think it's good to highlight that when someone in your team asks, friends, if someone in your team asks for more time, it doesn't mean that their competency is lower. It just means that they're just processing their information in a different way. So I think we have developed this perception that, if you're very intelligent, I can ask you any question and you can just straight away answer. I don't think it works for everyone. And those people who takes time to answer, it doesn't mean that they're less intelligent or they're less expert or anything, right? It's just the way that they process things, right? Okay, so we have come to the end of the discussion. Thank you so much, expert introverts, for all your knowledge, your inputs and your suggestions, and sharing your experience. Now, in case anyone of the audience want to reach out to you, how can we reach out to you? Andrew.
2 ways, Dean. You can connect with me through LinkedIn, and I think you'll put the details up on the screen in a moment, or you can contact me through my company website, wasabi-consulting.com.
Okay. And Bhavani.
Same. You can find me on LinkedIn, Bawani Peresami, and I think the link is right there at the bottom. You can connect with
Nice.
me there.
Okay. Next is Mervin. Mervin, what's your connection?
I'm not sure if I gave the LinkedIn, but you can look for me at introvertsnetwork.asia. Yeah, my profile link there.
And
Thanks.
Neha,
You can connect with me on my website, nehasoni.com. Also by the same name on LinkedIn. You can search my name and find me.
nice. All right. So,
Thank
friends,
you.
I hope you, through this discussion, you have, have a better understanding of yourself. If you're an introvert, you know that there are different types of introvert. Your introversion is not the way other introverts work. And for those who are non-introvert, I'm not going to call you an extrovert. I'm just going to call you a non-introvert. Okay. So, a non-introvert, you understand where introverts are coming from. At least you get a little bit more clarity around this. And I hope you can work better with your colleagues if you think they're introvert. All right. So with that, thank you. And we will end this session. Have a really good day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.